Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Taking Your Next Step podcast from Collegians for Christ. Through each episode, we will journey together focusing on knowing what you believe and why you believe it. If you are eager, like I am, to strengthen your faith, then take your next step now by joining us in today's episode. One of the greatest assets in my Christian life has probably been the community that God provides. You know, God established the church. He established it for a specific reason. It's the body of Christ, and it functions for a specific purpose. And one of those is the community where we can be encouraged, we can be equipped, we can be reprimanded, if you will, held into accountability. Iron sharpeneth iron. There's just so many benefits, if you will, that come from the community that Christ gives us, whether in the church or with other believers. And I think it's been the people and mentors that God has placed in my life that has made the difference for me. It's people that I've been able to learn from. I've been able to ask questions. I've been able to watch their life and see how they do things correctly as a follower of Jesus. I've been able to watch people, that do things incorrect and learn from them as well, what not to do. And it's been people I've been able to go to get advice. And all that's been very important. And I've had advice from people really that has changed my life. It's protected me from making mistakes. It's formed me into the person that I am today. There's certain bits of advice that stick. And they stick, and you live your life by those. There's bits and pieces of advice that I've got written in my Bible, in the front or the back, that have just been impactful, and sometimes I may need to remind myself of those. But bottom line is, there's some advice that you will never forget. There's a little passage in Proverbs that talks about advice. It talks about counsel, and it says this, Proverbs 11:14, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Now, you'll find that little phrase not worded exactly like that, but a couple other times in Proverbs, Solomon is saying, look, there is a great importance of seeking advice, of having people in your life that you can go to and bounce things off. There's safety in that. He says, where no counsel is, the people will fall. Why is that? Because there's nobody there to guide them. You and I, if we go through life thinking, I've got it, I can figure it out, I don't need somebody else to show me how. Sometimes we graduate out of high school or college, like, I've got this. And then about a year into it, you're like, I don't have any of this. I don't know anything. Like, what was I thinking? You see, where we're not willing to allow counsel to come into our lives. Now, counsel can be sitting down at a table across from one person. It can be in church, listening to the pastor or a teacher teach you. There's counsel in that. It's in the multitudes. Maybe you've got a big decision you need to make, so you're going to talk to multiple different people. We're going to talk about that briefly here. But there he says there's safety in that. And so as I come to this passage, I have to ask the question. He says, where no counsel is, the people fall. So that's the warning. This is a comparison and contrast. So if you don't get counsel, you're more than likely going to fall. You're going to stumble. You're going to trip. You're not going to go in the right direction. But he says in the multitude of counselors, there's what? There is safety. So I have to ask the question, what on earth or who on earth is a counselor? What does he mean by that when he says a counselor? Well, here I think we have to understand it's a godly person. Somebody that can give you good advice. What would be good advice? It would be advice that is biblical advice. Somebody that's going to go through and speak truth to you. We're not looking for somebody that's just going to tell us what we want to hear. We're looking for somebody that's going to tell us what we want to hear, but even what we do not want to hear. Somebody that's willing to do the hard with us. As we've done college ministry, we've been able to have good conversations, hard conversations. We've been able to push students, to pull students. And one thing that students have said over the years is, thank you for being willing to do the hard with me. It's easy to sit down and, have the good conversations, but it's hard to sit down and have those hard conversations. It's more difficult. But as you're looking for a counselor that Solomon is talking about here, you want someone who will speak truth to you, someone who will give you good advice. Well, who's that going to be? It's going to be a godly person who is wise. So we want someone who is wise. We don't want someone who doesn't have wisdom. And when I say wise, automatically you can think of someone that you say, man, they are wise. I would love to be like them. I would love to be able to make decisions like them. It's like they always know what you should do or should not do. Where does that come from? Well, wisdom comes from God first and foremost. And the Bible says if you need wisdom, ask him and he'll give it to you liberally in James, the book of James. But wisdom is this. First, there is knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. That is you and I collecting information, facts. Then there's understanding. You begin to know the knowledge is the what, and the understanding is the why those things go together. And then on top of knowledge and understanding is wisdom. You know how to utilize things. You know how to exercise good judgment. You know the how and the why to something, or when and why to do something or not to do something. It's you take the knowledge and the understanding and you know how to apply it. It's the application side of it. So we're talking about someone who is wise, also someone who has made good decisions in their life. We do not want to follow or ask advice from someone who doesn't make good decisions in their own life. We don't want to find someone who will tell us what we want to hear. We've said that. That is who a counselor is. And we could say a lot of other things. But in our passage, why in the multitude of counselors? Why does he say that? Why not just a counselor or a couple counselors? He says in the multitude of counselors. Well, two different reasons. One, you're going to get different life stages and you can get different perspectives. So much can be learned from various stages of life. What I mean by that is I'm in my 40s and I want to seek advice from people that are older than me, that have more life experience, more possibility as I look at them, more wisdom. I also want to learn from people that are in my same stage of life. I also want to learn from people that are younger than me, that are in a lower stage of life, and that is good. I want to get their perspective. You see, we get all these different perspectives. A lot of times we'll come to a situation, we'll come to something we're trying to figure out, and we have our perspective. And we're trying to see it as best we can, but until somebody else comes in and sees it different than we do, we don't get other perspectives. But the other perspectives will allow us to see the situation, the question, the problem, whatever it is, from a 360-degree angle. We'll see all the different, I didn't think about it like that. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. And it will allow you to process the situation and make a wise decision. So surround yourself with people who can guide you and mentor you in life. And that's going to be a multitude of counselors. It doesn't mean to take every single problem to 30 different people. But there should be a handful of people that you can go to, that you can say, hey, look, this is the decision, this is the problem, this is whatever. I'm just trying to figure it out. Can we talk through it? And sit down and talk through it and allow them to hear you, but also hear them. And then that is the multitude of counselors. And he finishes off with safety. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So what is safety? It's going to protect you and I from bad decisions, from making mistakes, getting off course. Think of it like this. The multitude of counselors like a guardrail going down the road. It's going to bump you from side to side to keep you from going off the cliff, going off the side of the mountain. That's what it's there for, is to give you some guidance. Still, you have freedom to kind of navigate the road, to go as you want, but it's to keep you from going completely off kilter. And that's the safety he's talking about there. Too often we'll do this, though. We'll ask for advice after we've already made the decision. We have students that do that. They're like, I need advice. And we're like, okay, but you've already made the decision. We've watched you walk through this, and you're seeking advice on the end of it rather than the beginning of it. And a lot of times we do that because we want to do what we want to do. And then on the backside, we want to get confirmation that what we're doing is right. And a lot of times we do that when we already know what we're doing is not right. It's wrong. And so we want to go ahead and make the decision, the wrong decision, not the best decision, whatever the case is, and come on the backside and get somebody to confirm us or say, well, you've already made the decision, so let's just, best thing is this, whatever. That's the wrong progress. You need to seek the advice first, during, and even after. But seek advice regularly, and seek it especially when making big decisions, relationship decisions, school decisions, job decisions, moving decisions, degree decisions, and then even in the small decisions that you're trying to figure out in your spiritual life with your family, your children, whatever, your boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, all those different things. So I encourage you to remember what Solomon is saying here. He says, where no counsel is, the people fall. He says, look, if you don't seek counsel, you can expect to fall, to trip, to stumble, not to make it. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And if you'll seek counsel first endearing, and you'll seek it in the multitude of good, godly people that'll lead you in the right way, speak truth into your life, you will find safety along the path of life. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If this podcast has been helpful to you, please share it with a friend or subscribe to stay up to date on the latest episodes. You can connect with Collegians for Christ online for more information and resources at cfccampusministry.com.